Alright lads, Kent Dog here, and today I'm just going to be doing a little bit of a shout out video. Just for a few channels I think deserve it, because they make good content, and I'm quite close with a few of them. So, here it is basically. And on the background is just a little bit of Genji gameplay, and the music in the background is a little bit of Vaporwave, so I'll be putting the link to that video in the description below as well. Okay, first of all we have Rich C. He does Overwatch videos, so go check him out. Then we have Nick. Then we have Jinzo, another Overwatch YouTuber. Go check him out. And then next we have Skinny Man. He does really random videos. Hi Jack, I'm giving you a shout out. And finally Liam Antony Kelly, a good friend of mine, who also does Overwatch videos. Cool, okay. And second to lastly, we have Eric Generic. And finally, we have Selena, so go check them all out, as they are all awesome video makers. So, yesterday, I went and saw a film called Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets. And its main stars were Dane DeHaan and Cara Delevingne. And it just plain and simply wasn't a very good film. The chemistry between the two main leads wasn't that great. The writing was pretty poor. Quite a lot of cliches were thrown in there. For example, our two main characters are sort of thrown into a relationship. They don't really, like I said before, the chemistry between them just isn't really there, so I can't believe that these two are wanting to be together. Also, have you seen the bad guy in this film? He looks like General Bison, boy in outer space. And then we have these guys, who, as you can obviously tell, are the bad guy's henchmen. Like, it's not really that much of a surprise when the twist comes that these are the bad guys. I just feel like they could have made the bad guys look a little less obvious. Like, in this film, the scenes and sets and CGI and everything is pretty damn good and impressive. It's visually stunning, but yet bad guys just seem to be like so cliche and obvious that they are the antagonists. One of the best scenes in this film is actually the beginning scene, the intro. The reason why this scene is the best is because it starts off with astronauts going into space back in like 1975, kind of like a reference to when around the times of when Valerian, the comic, was around and came out. So the opening scene is probably the best one of the entire film, as it shows off just how Alpha City came to be. Alpha City being the city of 1,000 planets, where the station started off as a simple human space station, and then slowly it becomes the sprawling space metropolis that it is, all while being set to David Bowie's Space Oddity. Just through this opening sequence, we are able to see firstly the magnitude of the universe that the film is set in, and also a few glimpses of the aliens that we will see during the course of the film. The David Bowie song certainly sets the mood for what's to come the rest of the film in this sci-fi space opera, except the rest of the film doesn't really live up to how well this scene is. Why that is probably because in the development team probably put a lot more effort into the overall look and aesthetic of the film rather than the script and the acting. Which is a shame, because this film, with the way that it looks, just deserves a better script to go along with it. One of the ways that they could have made the scripts better is by not making all the plot points seem like their own separate stories, and the plot taking bizarre detours to show off the world. Now, these include Cara sticking her head up a psychic jellyfish's rectum on the advice of 3 imp-like creatures. And yes, I never thought that there would ever be a day where I would have to say something like that. Cara then being abducted by alien fishermen to serve their emperor, and Valerian enlisting an alien stripper, played by Rihanna, to go save her. Rihanna played the character fine in the film, but my overall problem with her in this is that she's only really in the film to look cool and then die. Whilst this does make sense for her character's story arc, a refugee working at a brothel, but trying to find a better life despite her situation, but it just feels like a waste for her character. Another scene that doesn't really go anywhere is the underwater scene with the sea pirate in order to get the previously mentioned jellyfish, in which it mostly just becomes trailer bait instead of an actual story. To be fair, the entire middle section of the film is mostly forgettable scenes that don't add very much to the overall story, until we get to the final act and then the plot kicks off again. But then we wouldn't have near topless Rihanna now, would we? Also, this film has a really bad habit of making a situation really complicated, only for that complication to be quickly undone. For example, aliens come in a room and start cocooning everyone. Valerian just happens to have a microdrone to stick in his mouth that will free him from the cocoon, even though he barely has time to see what's going on. And he just so happens to have something useful that was never mentioned. Enemies escape into a part of the city that their big ship can't go. Good thing that they have a smaller, speedier rocket on board. The enemy's massive splits into 100 smaller ones that look exactly the same. Thank God the heroes can instantly figure out which one has their target. It just got boring because they always happened to have the right tools they needed for any situation and never really stumbled except when the plot needed them to, and didn't use more ingenuity or creativity to solve their problems. So, what could have been cut out from this film? Well, all of the second act is pretty much irrelevant. For example, why were the aliens fishing with butterflies? Who knows? It's never mentioned again. Was there any significance to the fact that Lorelei went past the time limit to get info from the squid about Valerian and might have eaten a few memories? Nope. Why put Lorelei in a wedding dress to carry food to their king? Who cares? Why does Valerian need to find a shape-shifting prostitute to avoid a diplomatic event if the aliens kind of already caused one by kidnapping a government agent in the first place? We'll never know. By the way, blue shape-shifting Rihanna dies as soon as she's no longer needed and is also never mentioned again. And the princess's soul landing in Valerian. Why is that never explained? Besides, she chose you, and all the relevance seems to be about that is just to kick off the plot, and that's really it. Like, it isn't explained until it's plot relevant about 2 hours later. I would like, in the last few minutes, just to try and go over what I feel like the directors in pre-production could have done to improve on this film. I think the first one is to just cut out a lot of the scenes that didn't really go anywhere, just over the course of the second half of the film. Another thing that they could have done was sorting out a lot of the kinks in the writing. For example, making Valerian a little bit more charismatic and likeable in the film, because at the start you're not really supposed to like him, and then over the course of the film you're supposed to like him a lot more, but really, you kind of don't. I mentioned earlier in the film that a lot of the CGI set pieces and practical effects look good. Yeah, a lot of the action scenes were pretty damn good, so that is something that the film did do quite well. It was always pretty damn exciting for the most part. The Pearls, which are one of the main alien races in this film, seem to be a little bit too much like the Narvi from Avatar, and it kind of made the film feel a little bit like this alien species is the political message we're going to try and beat you over the head with for this film. The genocide of the Pearl people and humans trying to cover up the atrocity is too uncomfortably similar to a few real-world similarities. In other words, this film is anti-human propaganda. Anyways, to wrap up, I think that stunning visual effects do more than make up for a lot of the film's downfalls. However, a lot of these effects don't actually lead to very much aside from just being a pretty little light show, and then a lot of the script could be much better if a lot of the scenes had actually meant something later on down in the film. I think if I was to give this movie a score, it would be 1 jellyfish rectum out of 3 weird imp duck creatures. Oh well, hopefully next film that I watch or review will be a little bit better than this one. Oh no. Oh sweet Jesus, no! Also, I reached Master in Lucio Ball in the recent Overwatch event. Tell me people that have somehow managed to make it through this far in the video. Have you managed to get Master in the Lucio Ball event? No. No, I don't think you did. So suck on that. I thought I did really well with this gameplay actually. I was not a bad Genji. I got 2 goals, eliminations and damage. I mean, sure, it was quick play, but I didn't do too bad, and I also got, spoiler alert, play of the game, so I did a good job overall. And seeing as how I can only really play Genji in quick play, and that's where it's the most fun, easily, I really enjoyed it. And also, just before I forget, go check out Pengasitis. Okay, cool, bye. Okay, I've been your boy Kent Dog, thanks for watching. Do make sure to check out the channels I previously mentioned in the links in the description box below, and I'll leave you with the rest of the gameplay.